Hey guys, John here. Today I am doing another commission piece. If you've seen my recent one that I did for my friend Sophie, this person reached out to me. I think her name is Alex. She saw that one and really liked it and wanted me to do one for somebody else as a gift. And so that's what we're doing here. I've already drawn in the cat. I'm not sure what the cat's name is, but I want to say it's maybe a girl cat. So I'll refer to it as her for the rest of the video. I've already taped it up, and as you may be able to see, I've got some of it overlapping like under the tape. And what this is going to do is it's going to let it poke out and kind of make the cat stick out. However, obviously I can't paint this while it's under the tape. So what I'm actually going to do for this video is I'm going to paint the background, and then I'll remove these two pieces of tape on the sides so that I can paint the cat without having to worry about pulling tape and matching colors. Using the same watercolors I've been using recently, and I'm kind of feeling purple for the background. Kind of like not a super vibrant purple, kind of like, I used to love this, there's these crayons that they had called my two favorite crayon colors. They were Periwinkle, which is kind of a blue, and this other one called Purple Mountain's Majesty. And that's the kind of vibe that I'm going for. I am not looking at a reference of the photo or of the color. So I'm just going to kind of go off of vibes here, but it'll be fine. It's just purple. So here we go. I've got just a little flat brush so I can do the background. So in the original photo, her ear lines up almost perfectly with her back. That's what's called a tangent, and in most art, tangents are a bad thing. So I'm going to try to actually let the ear stick out from the body a little bit. So it's not exactly a match of the original picture, but I think it's still close enough that you'll be able to tell. So I don't want my background to be too boring, too samey. So I'm making a couple different tones of this bluish purple color. I'm going to add a little bit of like a red, warm it up in some sections. So I'm going to do some shadows, kind of, well, the light's coming from this way. So behind her is shadowed a little bit in the photo. What I'm going to do is I'm going to darken up just under her belly here and on this side. And since the background is kind of a blue, I'm just going to kind of darken it with, typically when I would make a shadow, I would make it more blue. Since the background's already blue, I'm actually adding a little bit of red here to kind of give me like a warmer purple, and that's gonna make it a little bit more interesting. So you may be able to see here, this is a little warmer, but it's an interesting color. Okay, kind of a hard line here. I want to soften up a little, so I'm gonna get a little bit of water so I can loosen some areas up. Maybe a little bit of blue down here. I like this blue. I'm going to darken up this shadow a little bit too. Cool. So I'm pretty happy with that background. I got to let it dry a little bit. And after it dries, then I'll come in and do the watercolors for the cat herself. She is a bit of a, I think they call them a tortie, where it's kind of like a calico, but it's very dirty. It's like not, well, I put the reference photo up. I'll put it up here again. You can see her colors. Brown, orange, gray, black, white. Very, very colorful. So it's going to be fun trying to get some of these to go here. But we'll just give it a little break wait for 10-15 minutes. Once this is all dry so I don't bleed in my edges, I'll come back through with my watercolors. Okay, this is dry enough now. I am, like I said earlier, going to pull these side tapes off so that I can get her paw and the tip of her tail. And then we will start painting the cat. I'm pulling, as you see, away from the painting so that I don't rip the edge. Kind of a little sneak peek of the tape pull at the end. You guys are getting lucky in this one. Pulling away once again. I don't need to go any further here, so I'll keep the rest of it taped down just so that it holds it in place. So now we're going to go through and put down the base tones. Whenever I'm painting something in watercolor, I always work from light to dark because watercolors are translucent. What translucent means is it's partially see-through. So for example, my water here is almost entirely see-through. That would mean that it's basically transparent. My desk is not see-through at all, it's opaque. Anything in between opaque and transparent is translucent. Watercolor is much closer to transparent than it is to opaque. And so, because of that, I have to be careful with my color selections because a light color will not show on top of a dark color. And so the lightest color on her is a very bright white, and then she's got some orange, some gray, and then some black. So I don't need to paint anything white, but I do need to paint the orange parts. And so that's what I'm going to do first. Now, I like interesting paintings, as do most people. So what I'm actually going to do is exaggerate some of these colors initially, because I am going to come back over these with colored pencils and my pens and all the other stuff I do when I make a mixed media painting. And that is going to kind of blend everything together. So I can go very exaggerated in this layer. And so, that being said, let's start with some of our orange. Now, this is a bit excessive over here. This, I'm not gonna do that orange. That's a little excessive. So I can come through here to a bit of my tans and brown sides of my palette. So now what I'm going to do here is look for areas that are orange. I'm okay to go a little overkill on some of these orange areas because they can be covered because they're my lightest color. She's got some dark orange brown in here, but I can start with my light orange. Okay, I think that's pretty good for my orange pass. And in between each of these colors, I do want to take some of the paint that I've got off. So I'm just going to take a paper towel and wipe that off. It's not perfectly clean, but it's clean enough for my purposes. Then I'm going to go now into a bit of a brown. And then we'll fill in some of these brown sections. You see it's not ridiculously different from the orange, but this is going to provide a lot of variation inside underneath all of the colored pencils that we do. So she's got a lot of white right here, so I'm going to leave that. I am going to come through with white highlights later too, as toward the end of my process. So I'd like it to be a little darker than in reality so that I can lighten up the parts that need to be lightened up. But since the light's coming this way, this section will be pretty dark and in shadow. So I can kind of do that right now. The tail is pretty black-gray. So there's a little white here that I missed. I may have accidentally covered up a little bit of it. But once again, that's fine because I'm going to come through with white later. I'm slowly getting darker. That's maybe a little too dark. So what I can do is dab some of that up because there are stripes on her tail. So I can come in with this. She does have some striping, so I'm going to indicate a little bit of that. Her nose is kind of pink, but I'm going to darken it for now. Then I can make it pink later. If you've listened to my videos before, you know about my favorite thing in the whole wide world, the squint test. And I am constantly doing it. What the squint test is, if you don't know, is while I'm doing any kind of art, it's easy to get bogged down in the little details. In order to keep myself from getting bogged down in the details, I squint my eyes. I know you're thinking, what does that do? Well, what that actually does for me is it allows me to see the whole painting at once. I do this as well when I'm making large paintings, a little bit differently, but still the same idea. I back away so I can see it from further away. But it's easy when you're making a painting to get stuck into all of the problematic little details and nitpicks and things like that. And so I need to make sure that I am pacing myself more or less. And so what I do is I squint my eyes, lean back in my chair a little bit, and what that allows me to do is see the whole painting at once. And when I'm doing that, this is starting to get pretty good, but there's not enough detail in the face yet. So what I'm going to do here, there's a little bit of darkness under the eyes. There's some darkness in the face. Okay, so I think the rest of the details can be added via a following step, either colored pencils or pens. I'm just going to do one more thing here and a little bit of pink. Nothing insane. I mean, like very, very little bit of pink. Mostly water, just in a couple areas. Okay, so I'm going to put my paints away, clean that up, and then I'm going to jump into the colored pencils. So I will see you in no time at all for you, 5 minutes for me, and I'll clean this all up and jump to the colored pencils. All right, I got my Prismacolors. They're ready to go. Once again, I've done this once before. I'm just gonna give some more indications of fur, detail up a few things. Now I don't have to work in any specific color order. I think I'm gonna start with my black one here so that I can mark in some of these identifiable features, being some of these lines in her face and on her tail, things that the owner is gonna see and realize that, oh yeah, that looks like my cat. So some of the lines, there's some blackness around her eyeball. So I'm realizing now that I forgot to paint her eyes. I'm gonna just snag my brush from earlier really quickly, and I'm going to fix that. I don't want the eyes to be solely watercolor or colored pencil. Just a little bit of green. It seems her eyes are very light green. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, that solves the problem. She's got a cool little bit on her head here. One half of her head is gray and looks like a gray tabby. and the other half of her head looks like an orange tabby. So it's like half a cat, and then attached to that half cat is a different half of a cat. So I think that's so cool. She's so pretty. Those eyes are dry, so I can come in and add the pupils. So I'm kind of quiet, but I don't think much of this needs a ton of explaining. So I'm just gonna kind of keep working away, speed through most of this, and I will catch up with you if anything interesting happens. I'm going to do a couple different colors. I don't want to just do black on everything. So I've got a dark brown here. I'll probably find like a middle orange or something like that as well. I'll let you know if I switch over to that. Terracotta. We'll see if this one's any good. I'm going to darken the ears up so that the white looks really nice over top of them. So I don't want the cat to be the only thing with colored pencils. I'm going to come through with some blue and some purple in the background as well. Just like when I did the watercolors, I'm going to add a little bit of like a red in here too. She looks a little angry. I think it looks pretty good though. So I'm darkening this eye because it's in shadow. I think it's about time I'll come through with my first pass of my black pen. Okay, I got my pen. I am gonna start with some delineation. Yes, I know. SAT vocabulary over here. Sorry. I don't know what my deal is. I'm being a little extra. I've been sick the last couple days. I'm finally feeling good. So doing some squint test stuff. I want to darken up a few of these areas, and I noticed that this section needs to be much darker, which I think is going to help with some of the contrast too, so I'm not too upset about that. I'm just going to start with some pen. Okay, like I said, I want to darken this up a little bit more, so I'm going to keep doing that with my black pencil. Don't know why I said pencil like that. This is a dark umber. Not quite the same as the other brown I was using. So I want to darken up some of these. That blue that I was using will probably work. So if you're unaware, these colored pencils that I'm using are Prismacolors. I had some problems sharpening them in the past, and I couldn't figure out what the deal was, because Prismacolors are high quality pencils. I don't know why the lead would break all the time. Well, I learned these pencils are from 1996. I am not from 1996. I was born in 1998. So all of these pencils that I'm making all of this art with are older than I am. And it just goes to show you don't have to have the newest or the shiniest or the coolest stuff to be able to make interesting art. My stuff is almost 30 years old, and it works just as well as anything else. I'm going to add some of this purple into her body as well. Just, you know, it's not going to do too much, but it'll just provide a little more je ne sais quoi. I think now it's time to get into the white pen. My white pen, Uniball Signo. I use this one all the time. Start with maybe some white in the eyes. We're gonna do some whiskers here. She's got a lot of them. And one of the nice things about making this section so dark is the whiskers will really stand out. Everybody loves doing whiskers. They forget that cats have little whiskers above their eyes as well. Cool. This is looking pretty good. So at this stage, I would say I'm 99% done. The final 1% is, you know, little touch-uppy things I need to do. I'm going to do those. I'll speed through it, and then we'll sign it and get to some glamour photos. Okay, cool. I'm pretty happy with that. So I would say that the majority of it's done. Obviously, I got to sign it still, and then I got to pull some tape, and we'll take a few glamour shots, and I'll get this packed up and sent over to the person who commissioned it. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you in the next one. If you enjoy content like this, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, share, ring the bell so that you get notified whenever I upload. And also, good news, I finally reached my 50 subscriber milestone that I was trying to get to. And so now, the next time I go out to my girl who does my nails to paint her window, I will bring you guys with me and live stream the whole process. So that should be really fun. I'm very excited for that. And then hopefully we'll do live streams a little more frequently in the future. So once again, thank you for watching. I'm going to sign it. I'll do the tape pull, and I will see you in the next one.